So it's a really exciting game for spectators.
TJ Forsyth is now serving for Liberty. Liberty's club team on top here early on, 1-0. Knights go for the spike, hit the roof, and great spike there by Paul Clark, the sophomore from Centerville, Ohio.
And that we're going to see a lot of that this coming season on the men's volleyball team. The ball coming off of a bump, a pass, and hitting the small roof that we have.
All even at 1. And now Clark serving for the Knights. Liberty with a soft little tap there at the net. Whistle. Got a violation, looks like, on Liberty's club team.
Yeah, I think
the Knights a 2-1 lead.
Brady Quackenbush got into the net. So again, great start for the Knights, especially Paul Clark back there. You can see the velocity on that jump serve is just really devastating.
Clark again, a 6-foot sophomore from Centerville, and that serve goes out to make it 2-2.
Yeah,
Knights also have a pretty big guy in the front line in Nigerian. He is 6'10". He's a freshman, Avery Nigerian.
Yeah, Avery's quite the character. I love being around Avery. He's always smiling and has just a great personality.
Liberty serving here. Whistle, and they will go against the Knights.
Yeah, a little mishandling of the set there.
Knights have had several practices, but practices, Mike, and game action, totally different things.
It is totally different things, and we're going to see some nerves to begin with. But that's all right. That's why they've had this non-traditional season. Get some things ironed out. Coach Peterson's going to watch this film probably about 15,000 times and pick apart the performance of all his athletes.
Now, to recap the future for men's volleyball here at Southern Virginia, they've got a couple of games scheduled for 2017, but the big news is, and we'll hear more about this, I guess, in the coming weeks, is they have been accepted for the Continental Conference, a Division III conference for the 2017-2018 season.
Yeah, that's a huge thing because the Continental Conference, not only is Southern Virginia joining it, but we were told by the AD, Jason Lamb here, that about 2 other schools are joining also, and they'll have an automatic qualification into the Division III tournament.
And we can look down the list at some of those teams. Got a couple from Virginia in Eastern Mennonite and Marymount, but also a bunch of others teams spread out over the Northeast, New Jersey perhaps, New York, and maybe even Philadelphia or Pennsylvania.
Yeah, it's again, Division III men's volleyball is an emerging sport. Hopefully more schools will start to sponsor it because, like I said, it is very fast and a huge spectator-friendly sport.
Liberty with another violation at the net to give the Knights a 6-3 lead here in the opening set. That is the libero. Aina is serving right now, Daniel Aina. Good serve there, close to the net. And it bounces on the Liberty side. Liberty was kind of indecisive as to what they were going to do on that return, and now it is 7-3 Knights on top here.
Well, also it was a very, very close pass that was made almost into the net. Nepper did a great job of going up and trying to just bring it back. Unfortunately, though, when you have to reach across the net and try to bring it back, it usually never works out for you. The Knights really taking advantage of all the small mistakes, and we can see again just how fast those jump serves are really coming across.
Now you see a couple of women's volleyball players out on the court right now, including Valerie Beatty, and Tiggs is also out there. We also saw Allred earlier, so they're supporting the men's team and also getting ready for their match tomorrow night at 6 o'clock as the women will be taking on Frostburg, looking to get that first Capital Conference victory.
Huge match tomorrow against Frostburg. They have a chance to, again, defend their home court. Be a great time for them to really put everything together and get that first Capital Athletic Conference win.
Aina with a good serve, but Liberty gets the spike down the right line, and that makes it 7-4.
Yeah, it looks like it was tooled off of number 10, Colby Wilson there. Again, just some really huge hits coming from both sides, but we're going to see more line shots than we do in the women's game.
Scott Zaliezanak was serving, and he had a service error. I believe that's the second service error of this opening set on Liberty to give the Knights an 8-4 lead.
And you'll see a lot more service errors in the men's game than you will in the women's game because of the nature of them really going after the jump serves.
Service there by Tuku Moiatu. Puts the Knights in position here. Little tip over by the Knights. Liberty with a big spike there. That was Gene DeJesus.
Yeah, DeJesus really got up in the air. You can see that a lot of spikes are going to be coming down right close to the 10-meter line. The attack line, just a lot of power and a lot of jumping ability by these young men.
Well, you also mentioned, as that was almost a service error, barely got over the net. Knights try for the spike. Good shot there by the Knights. Back the other way with Liberty, and Liberty gets the point after Colby Wilson got it across. The Knights unable to return that Liberty kill shot. And you mentioned one of the other big differences between the women's volleyball and men's volleyball is more kills, I guess, less digs, perhaps, when it comes to the men's game.
Yeah, you're going to see a lot more action going across. On a women's game, we can see rallies happening 3, 4, 5, up to 6 or 7 times going across the net. On the men's team, we're going to see only about 2 or 3 times going across the net at maximum.
Here's Colby Wilson with the kill shot. It's out, and that ties the game now at 8. So the Knights had an 8-4 lead. Now it's 8-8.
And you can see with the low ceiling that we have and the speed that the spikes are coming at, the Knights are going to have a definite advantage playing at home because they're going to understand how to play the roof. When other teams come in to visit, they may not have that same understanding.
Knights preparing for the spike, and that one is by Paul Clark, got across.
He got the ball on the other side of the net.
Gives the point to the Knights. 9-8. Southern Virginia on top again here by 1. And now it'll be Colby Wilson, the sophomore from Valencia, California, serving for the Knights.
Now, even though we saw Kepler go up and play the ball off the roof and try to play it, the ball was completely on the Knights side, so it was an automatic out ball.
Service error on the Knights. That's their first service error today, and it's 9-9.
And you probably won't see a lot of teams really jump out and get a huge lead on each other.
David Hong with a blistering serve, and the Knights barely able to return to hit the roof, and goes to his Liberty point to make it 10-9 Liberty. Hong serving again. Really throws that ball up high and jumps to go get it on his service. Knights just able to get it across. Now Liberty with a kill shot. Good return by Aina. There's Wilson. Hey, that shot is too long, and Liberty will get the point.
One other thing we're going to see a little bit different in the men's game than the women's game. We'll see a lot more back row attacks from the men's team because of their way they can broad jump into the front court. As long as they take off from behind the attack line, they can land at the net. So we're going to see a lot more back row attacks from the men's teams.
Service by Ong hit the net. Knights setting up for the kill shot, but was not able to get it across. It was a good set there, it looked like, by Togola. But the Knights not able to use that set and get the ball across the net to give Liberty the point, and Liberty's got a 12-9 lead here.
Yeah, Skousen got there just about a half step too late. We could tell that because he hits it into the top of the tape and it trickles on the Knights side. Again, a lot of timing issues that are going on, and you know, Coach Peterson's only able to practice with them about 3 times a week in their non-traditional season for about 5 weeks. So what we're seeing now is some really good volleyball on a very short time frame. When he gets them back in January and can start with them every day for 2 or 3 hours a day, we're going to see just vast improvements.
Looking down the list of those the new conference that the Knights have joined, the Continental Conference. We talked about some of the Virginia teams that are in there, including Eastern Mennonite and Marymount, but we mentioned New Jersey teams like Rutgers, Newark is in there, and just a whole host of other schools, including not only Southern Virginia, I guess, in a year and a half or so from now, but a couple of other schools have been added too.
Yeah, and again, more competition, the better you're able to rise to the top and become better. But now you're also is so much easier if you have more conference teams that you can play against. You don't have to worry about going out and trying to find extra matches. So great job. And again, and with the Centennial Conference, we're looking at an automatic qualifier for the ones that win the Centennial Conference tournament.
There was a good block there by the Knights at the net, but it went out of bounds, and so Liberty's got a 13-10 lead here as the Knights were able to substitute back in there Nigerian, and again, Nigerian is 6'10". Knights have one player at 6'10", another player, Fatano, who we haven't seen yet, the freshman. He's 6'7" from Las Vegas. And Nigerian with a long spike. Hong somehow got it across, but it didn't go to the net and over. Stayed on the Liberty side of the net for the point for the Knights.
And he couldn't put it as high as he wanted because of the fans that we have up in the rafters here. That, again, home court advantage for men's volleyball is going to be huge for the Knights.
Women seem to use that from time to time as well. Even though the women have run into some really tough opponents the last couple of times out in CNU and also Mary Washington. Spike attempt, and it's good by Liberty.
And you can tell some of the tentativeness on the blocks. They're not shutting it down. They're trying to swing blocks, so it's really a timing issue that goes with those swing blocks, and not being able to practice every day. They're doing a great job of getting there. Now they have to just make sure that they close it down.
TJ Forsyth, who got the kill shot, serving here for Liberty. Knights not able to make a good set there for Tuko Moeatu. The set was a little bit almost towards the sideline, and he wasn't able to get it across, and now Liberty's got a 4-point lead. Well, they've had practices, Mike, but again, still learning to play together, and this is their first game together. Great spike there by Paul Clark. He will serve too.
And they're still learning what Coach Peterson wants them to do. And once they figure out exactly what he wants them to do, his pedigree is just phenomenal. And once they figure out what he wants them to do, we'll see huge strides.
So Clark serving. Hong gets it up. But that set was off. They were looking towards the middle, but instead the Liberty player making the set went over to the right side, and I'm not sure it was a good set, Mike, in the first place, and I'm not even sure the one it was set for the kill shot was expecting that play.
Well, I think he faked out his own players there, trying to confuse the block. He confused his own players.
Another good service. Knights get the spike and kill shot from Colby Wilson. Good serve again by Paul Clark, the sophomore from Centerville, Ohio. He pulls his team within 15-14 now.
And sometimes an off-speed shot is just as good as something that comes at 90 miles an hour.
Here is Clark again serving. Bullet serve that time. Liberty gets it across. He brings it back. And Nigerian could not get it across.
Another thing,
hit it a little too low.
Another thing you're going to notice, Jim, the difference between men and women's game. The setters, a lot of jump setting. Would love to see that transition over into the women's game. It just makes your setters so much more unpredictable.
Another thing we'll talk about from time to time, and Mike, outstanding crowd here for this first volleyball match for the men.
Well, the community here at Southern Virginia really likes to support all the sports. They understand that this is a huge event. First time that the men are playing an NCAA volleyball match, even though it's a non-traditional season and it's exhibition. Just huge support by the community at Southern Virginia.
Well, you know, the libero with the service, and that one's going to be out, and the point goes over to the Knights, and they tie it at 16. A very tight first set here.
Yeah, Zaluzniak just waffled that one, what we call it, just he snapped down on it and floated it out of bounds.
Daniel, he is the libero from Hawaii. Here's the set. Hong gets it across. Not able to make a kill shot attempt there. Knights try for the kill shot. Excellent play there by Paul Clark. Hong gets it back across for Liberty. Knights with a little tip shot. Blocked to the net by the Knights, and they get the point. That was Colby Wilson, I believe, making the block.
Yeah, great job of standing his ground, making sure that he pressed across the net.
So the Knights take the lead here, 17-16. With another good service. And that one is punched out by Liberty. And now the Knights have a 2-point lead, 18-16. Timeout taken by Liberty. Liberty seemed to have the momentum, but now suddenly that momentum has shifted back over to the Knights.
Well, and with the club team that Liberty brings up, and a lot of talented kids, but they only get to practice about as much as the Knights do, or a little bit less, because they aren't sponsored by the school, which would be great if Liberty would come up with a men's volleyball team. It'd just be a huge lift to the.
Explain that, Mike. Why a lot of the D1 schools do not have men's volleyball?
That's a very good question because they already have the equipment. All you have to do is really change out the ball a little bit because the men like to play with the spiral red, white, and blue ball.
Yep.
That's really your only extra expense besides a coach, but you're going to be bringing in 18 or to 20 new players. So, and like I said, it's an emerging sport. It's something that we see really exploding on the West Coast, in the Northeast, and we're just looking for it to explode from the Midwest into the East Coast here.
To the Mid-Atlantic. You wonder if the Capital Conference will ever have men's volleyball.
That would be fantastic.
Spiked by the Liberty Club team. Wilson tries to get it across. It's tipped by Liberty, and they get the point.
Yeah, they would block that straight down. But back to the Capital Athletic Conference. It'd be great if the Capital would have football, men's volleyball, just containing everything within that conference.
Quite possibly football in the Capital isn't that far off.
No, I don't think so.
Knights trying to get a big point here. Liberty trying to tie it with a spike. Good save by the Knights there. Aina sets up, and it is blocked by Liberty as Tuku Moeatu's attempt at a kill shot was returned right back on the Southern Virginia side by Liberty, and they have tied this game now at 18.
So you can see how fast momentum changes in the men's game.
Set here by the Knights. It'll go to Paul Clark. Saved by Liberty. And they give the point to Southern Virginia.
Yeah, the up ref called that as go ahead and hitting the floor. But there's one of our back row attacks that we talked about. That was Paul Clark coming out of the back row. You see he landed almost at the net.
It also looked like DeJesus almost pushed the ball as opposed to hitting the ball across. Here's Hong setting up the Liberty attempt to get it across. Done by DeJesus. And a spike for the Knights. And now they've got a 2-point lead here, 20-18.
And that's why you want your setter to jump. He's in the front row. If he's jumping always, you're going to not pay attention to him as a blocker. That time he went up, nobody in front of him and got the kill.
Service is out by Tuku Moeatu. Monte Tuku Moeatu getting a little too far on his serve, so it's 20-19. Boy, when you got a 20-18 lead, you're nearing that 25-point mark. You really don't want those service errors. That one is going to be out, and the point goes to the Knights, so Liberty sends it right back.
Coach Peterson has lived this men's volleyball for a long time. It would be driving me crazy with all these serving errors. You look over at him, just a calm, cool, collected customer.
Another service error, this one on the Knights, too long, so we've had 3 straight service errors, 2 by the Knights, 1 by Liberty. It's 21-20, Knights by 1. Here comes Hong with the service. Hits the net, goes across. Knights setting up for the spike. Tipped by Liberty. Set up to Clark. And Paul Clark drives it home again. The 6-foot sophomore. Not one of the bigger guys out there, as the Knights have a 6'10 guy out there. But Paul Clark is really wreaking havoc at the front line for the Knights.
Well, it's all about timing with your setter. And if you can time it to where you're hitting the set at the top of your apex, then you have a great chance of beating the block.
Knights by 2. Service coming up here for Skousen. Service across. Knights trying to get a big point here. Kill attempt. Knights not able to save it. As Liberty will get the point, and Liberty's club team has inched back to within a point now at 22-21.
And I think this is the way it's going to be next fall or spring when it comes up for the men's volleyball team, and also next year we're going to see these games really tight, within 1 or 2 points throughout the whole match.
Knepper's serve way long. Just seems like a lot of these teams, when they got the service going, maybe a little too much energy. It's 23-21, Knights by 2, within 2 now of winning this opening set. Served by Tugalua. Blocked by the Knights. Aina setting up Clark. Liberty gets it back across to Jesus with the hit. And Tukumo Etu could not get his shot across, and Liberty will get the point.
And that's probably something that Coach Peterson is really going to be looking for in his recruiting. A little bit more physicalness on the outside hitters, the middle blockers, and the right side hitters.
Lead down to 1 now. Liberty only trailing 23-22, and that one is too long. Liberty, with a lot of service errors here in this first set, especially here lately, has allowed the Knights to get within a single point of winning their first ever set.
Well, you don't see any topspin on the jump serves, and so that's allowing the ball just to sail out of bounds.
Now Paul Clark trying to get his serve in here to maybe win this opening set. And they're going to say it was out. 24-23.
Great job by Allison Teagues calling it out. Didn't cave into the pressure of the home team, telling her put it in, put it in.
Liberty trying to avoid the service error. They got that one across. Knights trying to set it up. And there's the opening set as Colby Wilson able to get the kill shot home, and the Knights win that opening set 25-23.
Again, great job by the Knights, and you can see how exciting things are going to be. If you talk to Coach Peterson, he's going to give you about a list of 5 to 10 things that he really wants to work on right now, but he's got to be excited about some of the prospects that we see with the Knights coming out.
So the Knights win their first ever set and their first ever match, win that first set 25-23, and now here in just a few minutes we'll get set number 2 underway, Mike, and they'll try to take a 2-0 lead.
Well, keeping momentum on your side is going to be paramount for the Knights, and if you can do that, that just brings your team cohesion much closer together, and you want to do that during this this non-traditional season, because if you can establish team chemistry now, then you can work on technique in the next season.
They had a lot of impressive players in that opening set. 2 that really came to mind, Colby Wilson and Paul Clark.
Yeah, Paul Clark, again, just, you said, only about 6 foot tall, but able to time his jump with the setter. They're making a great connection, and if you can do that, you can beat some blocks. Plus, he's a very smart hitter. We've seen him go for straight power and put it straight down, but also we've seen him tool it off of the blocker's hands. So great job there. Colby Wilson, we've seen him just stone cold block the Liberty's right side hitter, which is great if you have an outside hitter that also likes to block.
I would imagine most volleyball coaches, given the choice between height and jumping ability, will take jumping ability.
Well, timing and jumping ability would be great. If you're 7 foot tall but you can't get but an inch off the ground, there's some issues there. But timing and jumping ability are kind of paramount to being successful as a volleyball player.
And speaking of volleyball, we've got women's volleyball again coming up tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. The Southern Virginia women's volleyball team will be meeting Frostburg. Don't have the records right in front of me right here, Mike, but I know the Knights have just lost a couple of matches in the conference, 0-2 after losing to Mary Washington and CNU, and Frostburg, I believe, is 0-2 in the conference. So great chance on Friday at 6 p.m. for the women to get that first Capital Conference victory.
Huge chance for them because they've already played the 2 best teams in the Capital Athletic Conference. So they've been tested. They took a set from Mary Washington. They're very close against CNU. Again, the 2 best teams in the Capital Athletic Conference. I think that CNU should be the best overall talented team in the Capital Athletic Conference, just as far as the way they play. But the Knights stood with them, so everything now is just kind of downhill after playing those 2 teams, especially playing at home. The Knights should be very excited about their prospects for the rest of the Capital Athletic Conference season.
Go back a few days, back to earlier in the week when they lost to, I believe, Mary Washington. They won the opening set and had their chances to win 2 other sets. Had the lead in one set, and another set they lost it, but they came all the way back from a big deficit to within a point. So even though Mary Washington won it 3-1 that match, the Knights could have easily have won that match 3-1.
Yeah, they could have, and if you talk to Coach Gwynn, she'll tell you that that's a match that they should have won, and that's not one of those trying to make you feel good. She knows that something slipped by them that would have been fabulous for them. So they can play with the top level teams in the conference. Everybody else, like I said, it should be easier for them to play against.
Well, I believe I saw, was it either yesterday or the day before, Mary Washington swept Washington Lee.
They did.
3 straight sets.
Yes, so that just tells you the caliber that Mary Washington's playing at.
Set number 2 underway with the Knights winning that opening set. And the Knights trying to get the kill shot right off the bat by Colby Wilson. Blocked and out of bounds, and the point will go to Liberty.
And it looks like Liberty's going to try to make a little bit of adjustment and have a back row attack just a little bit more. That throws the timing off of the middle blockers.
It is 1-0. Liberty on top here in set number 2. Oh, great shot at the net by Tagaloa. Kind of fooled Liberty that time. It was very close to the net, and Liberty didn't come across, and Tagaloa went up there and just basically backhanded it a little tap shot. Took Liberty totally off guard.
And he felt the outside hitter had come over to block with the middle, so there was no one on the left front.
That one's going to be out on the return shot by Liberty, so the Knights quickly take a 2-1 lead. Like any match, Mike, you win that opening set, the pressure is really on if you can win set number 2.
Well, you win set number 2, you're in the driver's seat for the match.
Liberty blocked at the net. Blocked again by Nigerian, that big 6'10" freshman from Salt Lake City, Utah. That's where that height really comes into play on the blocking ability, and now it's 3-1.
And he did a great job of reading. That was just too high of a set in the middle, and Nigerian fabulous job of setting his block there and not letting it be punched through.
Tagaloa with the service. Liberty tries to set up on the right side. Blocked again by Nigerian, but that one will go as a point for Liberty.
Yeah, Paul Clark got into the net. Looks like he fell off balance just a little bit when he came down off his swing block.
3-2. Liberty down by 1 here in set number 2. Knights trying to set up the kill here with Nigerian, and he rams it home to make it 4-2 Knights.
That's a great 3-set, little shoot set over. Keep Nigerian from coming straight in, make the blocker have to move. Just a fabulous front row play.
Well, you can see at 6'10" and the ability to leap that he could really maybe potentially take a game over.
Yeah, and you can see he has a lot of room to add a little bit of muscle mass too.
Clark with a good service. Liberty trying to return it. De Jesus taps it across. Set on the other side for Kukubo Airtu, and he gets his kill shot to go, and the Knights jump on top here, now 5-2. Paul Clark is serving. Knights trying to build upon a 5-2 lead. And an attempt at saving that one by Tagaloa off him and out, and it's 5-3 down.
Can you see the men's teams like to set them up high and hit them down hard. We've only seen about 1 or 2 little short sets and 1 3-set that Nigerian was able to put down for a kill.
See if the Knights can get a shot here. Nice block by Liberty at the net. It is tipped across and good by Colby Wilson. 2 blockers came to meet him, and he just tapped it right past him to a spot where no one was at. It's 6-3 Knights.
Yeah, that was nice body control. You saw that the ball was really coming outside the antenna, was able to reach back across and bring it back in just soft enough to find an open spot on the floor.
Not only trying to avoid those blockers, but trying to stay out of the net too.
Again, great job with his body awareness.
Aina with the serve. De Jesus tries to tap it across, can't get it. Now gets it across. Knights will try to set up the big kill shot, and it's home by Skousen. And the Knights have now jumped on top here, 7-3.
And they're riding the wave of momentum. Great job of the Knights not letting down from the first set to the second set.
Nice serve by Olivero as De Jesus' shot is blocked. Liberty will get it across. Now the Knights will try to set up another kill. They do. It is again a kill shot by Quinn Skousen, sophomore from Las Vegas. He puts his team on top here, 8-3. And one of the biggest differences here in set number 2 is the lack of service errors for the Knights in making this little run to go on top by 5.
Well, the lack of service errors, and the Knights are going to the middle. They're trying to feed the middle a little bit more, try to spread the blockers out.
And just as we say that, we get the service error from Aina as he put it a little too far back.
Must have been the broadcaster's curse.
Well, we'll see if Liberty returns the favor. They had problems with service errors in the first set. 8-4 now. Knights trying to get it across. Aina does. Liberty will try. And they are, whoa, nice play there by Liberty, by the set man. He decided to flick it across. Then Liberty gets it. Plasterer making the play there as the Knights not expecting that.
Yeah, Plasterer again went up. Looks like he's going to set those jump sets and just dunked it across.
Service error on Liberty to give the Knights the point. And when you do that play, is it almost one of those deals where you're looking out of the corner of your eye and you see the opportunity?
Yeah, it's all about your peripheral vision, because the men, they'll jump set, jump set, jump set, jump set. Eventually, the middle's not going to jump with them, and then when they see that the middle stays down, that's when we're going to see them go it over.
No stopping that. Green DeJesus, junior from Chicago, Illinois, driving his spike home. It's 9-6 now.
And I think the fans are starting to, not the fans, people, but the fans up on top of the ceiling are starting to really play a little bit of havoc with how high the Liberty players want to toss the ball for their jump serve.
Well, I know you mentioned in the women's game that the fans can actually maybe slightly influence, I guess, the direction of the ball.
Well, if they're doing a float serve, yeah, the air currents will make the ball move a little funny. With heavy top spins, it's not going to be influenced by any air currents, but they like to throw it up at least about 20, 30 feet up in the air, and if you do that here, it goes into the ceiling fans.
Colby Wilson now serving after he was able to drive home his kill shot to give the Knights a 10-7 lead. Now Wilson with the service. Nice little soft serve. Liberty shoots it out, and they're going to say it is going to be a point, I believe, for the Knights. That ball went too long.
Yeah, some of the women's volleyball team.
They're going to give the point to Liberty.
Is doing double duty as line judges, and Rachel Russ looked like she wanted to call it out, but then brought it back down for the point for Liberty.
So the Liberty Club team does get the point. Hong with the serve. It's 10-8 now. The Knights still with a 2-point lead. Clark with the ram shot, and he got his kill shot to go. And so now serving for the Knights will be Skousen as the Knights have an 11-8 lead. They're just trying to maintain this little cushion, trying to get a little closer to 25 here. DeJesus. Nice setup there, but for the Knights, Skousen not able to dig that shot out, and it's now 11-9.
When we saw Liberty just do what the Knights did with Najaran, their little 3-set. Knights call for some floor maintenance. A lot of sweating going on out there, and anytime they hit the floor, there's going to be a nice slick mark. So we'll see a lot of this with the men's teams. After a play, they'll be wiping up the floor.
Liberty getting ready to serve, down by 2 now. Knights looking for a very important point. It is rammed across by the Knights. And now here is Clark. It is knocked out of bounds on the block by Liberty, so the Knights will get the point and take a 12-9 lead.
And it looks like Clark is noticing that Liberty's really not turning their shoulders back into the middle of the floor. They're leaving their shoulders and their hands aimed out of bounds, so he's just taking it high off the hands.
Here's Galoa with the service for the Knights, who have a 3-point lead. Liberty trying to set up DeJesus. Good dig there by the Knights. Clark taps it across. Hong brings it back, but he brought it too close to the net. And I believe we're going to have Liberty going across the net.
We had a back row attack. The setter right now, Plasterer, is on the back row. If he jumps up and touches the ball on the plane of the net and one of the Knights touch the ball at the same time, it's a back row attack. Point goes to the Knights.
And the Knights get the point to make it 13-9. Pagaloa with another service, and he got the net, and he got it over, and gets the ace to make it 14-9 now.
And again, that's one of the things we've seen in the women's game that's almost indefensible when it hits the top net cord and falls over for the point.
They don't actually practice that, do they?
I'm sure if they could, Coach Peterson would love them to do it every time.
Nigerian trying to get across with the block.
Oh, they're going back row attack again.
Yep. Liberty wants an explanation as to why the point went over to the Knights, and the Knights got a big point out of it to take a 6-point lead here, 15-9 in set number 2.
Again, Plaster's a back row player. He can't go up and touch the ball on the plane of the net. If he does, then it's a back row attack. All the Knights have to do is just go up and touch the ball too.
Tagaloa serving again. Trying to build upon this 6-point lead. Towards the net. Tipped across by Liberty. Let's see who they set up for the kill shot here. It's going to be Paul Clark, but Liberty gets the point.
And that's one time that the Liberty Flames did get their shoulders turned back into the middle of the court. Paul would have done better just to try to play it high hands off of them and out of bounds.
TJ Forsyth now serving for Liberty. Knights on top here, 15-10. They set up Tukubo Etu, and he's able to get his kill shot blocked out of bounds by Liberty, and the Knights now own a 6-point lead again here, 16-10.
What a great combination play as Najaran was coming in at the same time. Didn't know who was going to get the set, so they froze the blockers.
Paul Clark with the service. And that one's out. Trying maybe for an ace, instead out, and it's 16-11.
We'll see 5, 6, 7 service errors a set with men's teams.
Knights try to set up on the left side is Wilson. He gets the point. Knights extend that lead back to 6 here at 17-11.
You see Coach Peterson walking up and down the sidelines wanting to figure out what's going on. Taking a lot of mental notes.
And here's Aina with the service. Great serve. And Skousen right there to ram it home as Liberty's return was too close to the net for Liberty. It's 18-11. The Knights have their biggest lead, I believe, now here in set number 2. 7 points.
Well, just like on the women's side, anytime there's an overpass, the front row player starts salivating.
Aina with another great serve. There's a point. And the Knights extend that lead now to 8. He's really serving hard and low.
You can see the topspin on his ball, and as long as he keeps topspin on the ball, he can keep it in bounds. It's once they don't snap the wrist, get on top of it, and put the topspin on it, we see it float out.
Another good serve is in. Liberty tries to get it across. They do. Aina going to set up Tukumo Etu, but the point will go to Liberty.
The ball was out, went on the outside of the antenna on that attempt.
19-12. One thing you don't want to do now if you're the Knights is allow Liberty to go off on a little run of 2 to 3 points and try to get back into it.
You can give up 2 points, but you want to make sure that you stop their run as quick as possible.
And nice set and serve over, a spike over. That was a great set by the Knights, and Skousen, the sophomore from Las Vegas, able to get it across, and the Knights extend that lead now back to 8 at 20-12.
Well, Skousen did a great job of shortening his arm up to punch it over. He would have liked it about 4 feet taller.
And Wilson was trying to block at the net, but actually ran it into the net to give the point over to Liberty to make it 20-13.
Just got a little bit too excited there. May have been better served just to play it up and run their offense out.
De Jesus serving for Liberty. Knights trying to stop that little Liberty run here. De Jesus gets it over, but that's going to be well out. The shot taken by Zeliznak, and he knocks it way out of bounds. And the Knights have that 8-point lead now again at 21-13.
Well, mechanically, we can see the same things happening with the men that we see with the women. When the women hit it far out of bounds, and the men, it's because they've had to lean back and try to hit the ball.
Wilson serving for the Knights. Aina with a good dig there. And rammed home by Skousen. Quinn Skousen gives the Knights a 9-point lead.
That was a fantastic set behind, able to get that back one, just able to pound it down. Great offense by the Knights.
Wilson serving here for the Knights. Trying to build upon this lead. Great save by the Knights at the net. Put back across by Southern Virginia. Liberty gets the kill shot to go.
Again, Liberty's trying to run a little bit of faster offense. We see a shoot set going across. Setter pushes it across all the way to the pin. The middle blocker or hitter comes out. Don't know who's going to hit it. It's going to be the middle or the outside.
Here's Hong serving 22-14. Knights still lead here by 8 in set number 2. Aina with a good dig there. And Clark's kill shot is blocked by Liberty and out of bounds, and the point goes to Liberty. 22-15.
When he saw the set, or the pass for the set, pulled the setter way to the left-hand side. He set it outside the antenna. There was no place for Clark to really go with that shot.
David Hong from Detroit, Michigan, serving now for Liberty. Liberty within 7 again, 22-15, and that serve is out. And so Liberty's service error gives the Knights an 8-point lead here at 23-15. As Nigerian will check back in, the 6'10" freshman for the Knights. Skousen serving for the Knights. An attempt by Skousen to save the ball from going out, unsuccessful to make it 23-16. Knights need 2 points to win set number 2. They won the opening set 25-23.
Well, with Avery, you can see just talent oozing out. Just need to put on about 15, 20 extra pounds of muscle across the chest and shoulders areas. That way that block would go straight down.
Clark with a service or a spike, and De Jesus is able to save it from going out for Liberty. Knights will try again. A quick tip over by the Knights. Liberty brings it back. Saved by Skousen, and Nigerian gets it across. Great point here, and that point is too far, and a great decision by Aina to let it go.
Yeah, Quackenbush just waffled that one. It was a great set. Mistimed his jump, but fantastic defense. Diving all over the place, just getting the ball up for the Knights.
And the Knights are within a point of winning set number 2. After they won the opening set 25-23, they now lead here 24-16. And of course, we'll have that big break in between set 2 and set 3, and I'm sure if the Knights are fortunate here, Mike, to win set number 2, I'm sure Coach Peterson's going to say, let's take it home in 3 straight.
Oh, I'm sure he would. Although in the back of his mind, he might be thinking, let's get maybe 1 or 2 extra sets in just because we want to get some extra practice in. But I think the competitor will come out in him, and he'll want to take care of it right then and there.
Well, you're getting great play from all over the roster. We mentioned Paul Clark and Kobe Wilson earlier, and Quinn Skousen's made some big plays. And also Daniel Aina is making some big plays out there.
Well, this is one sport, men's volleyball is one sport where you can't have just one star. All the players have to contribute in so many different areas, and we saw that out there on the last play where everyone was diving, just trying to pop the ball up, better the ball, and then the Knights were able to take care of the point by letting it go out of bounds.
And we're going to see here in just a few seconds if the Knights can put it away and pick up point number 25. Pagaloa is serving here for the Knights, trying to win set number 2. Returned by Hong, spiked by Liberty, and they get the point. 24-17. So Forsyth, who got the kill shot to go, now serving.
And if you're Knight, that's not a big deal. You want to be the ones that are able to attack off of a serve.
Aina with a great save there. And his spike attempt by the Knights from Clark, couldn't get it to go at the net. Shot a little low, and now Coach Peterson wants a timeout to talk it over, trying to make sure Liberty doesn't go on a run and trying to figure out a way to get that last point here in set number 2.
And this is just a teaching experience for Coach Peterson. He's going to settle the troops down. He's going to tell them what he wants to do, because any time that he can teach in a game situation is much better than when you can teach in a practice situation. And the Knights will remember this more vividly than they would in a practice setting.
Remember, we've got women's volleyball tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, Southern Virginia against Frostburg. And then a lot of athletic teams will be on the road Saturday, Mike. Football is playing at Montclair Saturday at 1 o'clock. And soccer teams, men's and women's soccer team, will be on the road Saturday in a soccer doubleheader in Capital Play on the road at Wesley.
And just a lot of games for the Knights. to try and win. Even athletic ability, it's just going to be who's going to out-execute somebody else. So we hope that they all come back with great wins this weekend.
Last I checked, Wesley had not won in the Capital Conference, so we were talking about that the other night, that maybe the men and the women got a great chance. And that service is out, and Southern Virginia wins the second set. So another service error by Liberty. They had a few more in set number 2, and Mike, after winning the opening set 25-23, Southern Virginia wins that second set 25-18. And now the Knights own a 2-0 lead here in sets, hoping in set number 3, potentially, in just a few minutes to wrap it all up tonight.
Well, and they cut down on their service errors in that second set from the first set, which really helped them expand their lead and get a lot of momentum going into that set win.
So the Knights win set number 2, 25-18, after winning the opening set 25-23. Little break here from the Knights Sports Arena. Set number 3 is just around the corner. We will take a break. Jim Bresnahan, Mike Harmon with you, bringing you men's volleyball tonight from the Knights Sports Arena. We'll take a little break and come back for set number 3 in just a few minutes, so stay with us. Jim Bresnahan, Mike Harmon again here at the Knight Sports Arena, getting ready to bring you set number 3 of this first ever men's volleyball match here at the Knight Sports Arena for Southern Virginia men's volleyball. They are playing the Liberty Club team, and Mike ahead 2-0, winning the first set 25-23, winning set number 2 25-18, and just a single set away from winning the entire match.
Well, and we've seen a lot of great play, a lot of excitement here at this Knight Sports Arena, and some really big news that we had coming in from our AD, Jason Lamb. The Knights are officially going to be starting in the Centennial Athletic Conference for volleyball in the 2018 season. So not this season coming up for the Knights, but in the following season.
As you mentioned, guarantees them a pretty set schedule. A lot of teams, including a couple of new teams, not just the Knights, but a couple of other teams have joined the conference, and a couple of Virginia teams, at least 2, Eastern Mennonite and Marymount are in there.
Well, and hopefully the Knights can rise to the top. If you win the conference tournament, you have an automatic qualifying bid into the Division III tournament.
Kind of surprising. We talked about this earlier, that a lot of these conferences don't have men's volleyball. Capital Conference, I'm kind of surprised the ODAC doesn't.
I am too, because you already have the equipment. You have the net, you have the standards, you have the official stand. A few balls, because again the men like to play with the red, white, and blue spiral ball. That's all you need. A coach, you go and recruit some players, and we've got some great things going on.
So we will have 4 sets. Even if the Knights win the third set, we will have a 4th set. That will give the Knights a chance to get a little more action in. This being an exhibition of scrimmage.
Well, that just throws out the question that we had about Coach Peterson. Does he want to win it in 3? We go, yeah. Does he want to have some extra practice? Yes. And so I think the agreement was before the start of the match, let's just go ahead and do 4 sets no matter what.
Sure, it was mutually agreed upon, because as you mentioned, Liberty's club team, they probably like to have the game action as well.
Exactly. And this is a non-traditional season for both teams, so get as much play in as you can.
Aina will be going ahead and serving for the Knights. Spiked by Liberty, saved there by the Knights. Great save by the Knights. And a new player into the game for the Knights is Clayton Fontano, freshman from Las Vegas. He is 6'7", and he gets his kill shot to go.
Anytime you can bring in some height onto the right-hand side, that not only helps you offensively, but it helps you defensively too, because the Knights' opponents will be attacking most likely from the left side.
Great serve again by Aina. Daniel Aina, again from Hawaii, 5'11" sophomore. Fantastic service.
And Daniel's no longer the libero for the Knights.
He really does have excellent serves. Liberty's shot is off one of the Knights and out, and that point will go over to Liberty as Colby Wilson could not return it. So it's 2-1 now. The Knights on top here in set number 3. Service by Liberty. And it hits the net and goes across. A little soft serve that hit the net, tapped across to make it 2-2.
And the Knights have changed up a little bit. They have Aina setting now for them. And we see that a new libero, Monty Tuku Moalata, as the libero.
And a big spike there by Nigerian. It's Avery Nigerian, the 6'10" freshman.
Yeah, great one-handed set we saw there. Nigerian being able to get up with great timing, cut it cross court.
So it's 3-2 now. Service by Paul Clark, and the point goes to the Knights again. So it's 4-2 Southern Virginia. Even though we're going to be guaranteed 4 sets here, Mike, I'm sure Coach Peterson would like to win this, because that guarantees that 4th set is basically just for fun. And guarantees that we won't have a 5th set, because the Knights would already have 3 sets to win the match. And there's another point going to the Knights, as we're starting to see some really dominating serves by the Knights.
Well, we see some new players out for Liberty also. Everybody's trying to get people in, and we see the ceiling fans start to mess with the libero for the Liberty Flames.
Another serve by Clark. Another great serve, ace 6-2 Knights. Timeout taken by Liberty. So the Knights off to a fast start here in set number 3, leading 6-2 after they won the first set 25-23 and won set number 2 25-18.
And you can see some miscommunication on the back line of the Liberty Flames. Have some new players in, a new libero. So there's going to be some miscommunication errors that happen. We see that Clark is able to take advantage of that because he's serving the seam, and that hard, heavy topspin ball, if you can serve it in the seam and make people have to decide, am I going to take it or are you going to take it, and they don't have that great communication, we're going to see a lot of aces.
Knights have had some pretty good serves tonight. Clark here recently, but earlier in the evening, Ina with that, as you mentioned, I think the top spin, really making a difference.
Once if they can keep that heavy top spin on the ball, they'll be able to keep the ball inbounds, cause Liberty have to really try to play things out.
Because if you go with a hard serve, trying to get it in before the back line, that's very difficult to do.
Yeah, if you're
that's usually where you see a lot of the service errors.
If you're floating it out of bounds, that's going to happen because with no wrist snap, no top spin to pull the ball down, we just see the ball floating out of bounds by 3, 4, even more feet.
So here is Paul Clark, the sophomore from Ohio, Centerville, Ohio, serving for the Knights with a 6-2 to lead, and Liberty will try to get it back across. They do. The Liberty club team gets it over. Wilson spiking it. Liberty saves it. Hong with a save. Wilson set up on the right side. Great save by the Knights. Wilson can't get it, and Aina couldn't save it, and the point goes over to Liberty.
Yeah, I see some great covering by both teams. Wilson was able to cover the shot by Fortuno, just not able to have it reciprocated to him after his shot.
And so the Knights now own a 6-3 lead with Liberty serving. Liberty serve, set up by Ina, over to Wilson. Now the Flames will try for a kill shot. Great save by Clark there. Aina setting up Wilson again. And the point goes to Southern Virginia.
We heard Liberty calling for the double there, but for a ball handling error. Wasn't called, and so able to put the ball down for a kill in the back far corner.
Too many double hits.
We really haven't. They're letting them play a little bit too much, in my opinion, but the rules are becoming much more lax.
Nice serve here by Tuko Mayatu. And Liberty gets the kill shot to go to make it 7-4.
Oh, and that's a huge connection there. Able to put the ball down right outside the 10-meter line.
Service error by Liberty.
And we've seen quite a few service errors by Liberty.
And the Knights now own an 8-4 lead as Clayton Fontano, 6'7" freshman from Las Vegas, will service here for the Knights. And he puts his into the net.
Again, looks like he didn't like his toss. With the way the rules are written now, you only get one toss per attempt, so he had to go ahead and try to hit that one and just into the middle of the net.
8-5, Liberty down by 3 now. Alex Lower, sophomore for the Liberty club team, serving, and he puts his too long. Knights get yet another Liberty service error to take a 9-5 lead.
Well, there's the difference between Liberty serving and Knights serving. Knights, very hard top spin. The ball pulls down into the court. The Flames have a lot of float serves going, and we just see it going out of bounds as Wilson tries to float serve it also, and we can see how far it's going out of bounds. Some of the air currents on those float serves generated by these two huge fans overhead at the end of each court are causing a lot of serving problems.
And Wilson's service error makes it 9-6. Flames. Aina gets it across. Nice right down the net side shot by the Knights. And Liberty gets the point as the Knights not able to return it. Clark diving for it, can't return it. It's 9-7.
Coach Peterson asking for the double. I think the referee is saying, I gave one to you, I got to give one to them.
Either that or he's saying, what's a double? Because I don't think we've had a double call all night long.
Well, we at the very beginning, in the first set, we had one on each team being called. But since then, Not much.
Service by Liberty. And not able to return it was Tuku Moetu. Couldn't really set it up. And the point goes to Liberty, and suddenly Liberty's team is within a point now at 9-8.
Well, he needs to drop his rear end and take a half a step to get up underneath the ball.
Clark to Aina, back to Clark, and it is a point for the Knights. As that time, Paul Clark was able to get it across and get it past the blockers onto the Liberty side.
Well, Liberty didn't press across the net that time. We could see a huge gap between the net and their arms. Clark was able to take advantage of that and push it straight down into their chest and then into the net.
And so here comes the big 6'10" freshman Nigerian back into the game for the Knights. 10-8. Knights on top here by 2. Skousen serving. And Liberty, a little confusion about who they were setting up for the kill shot. It goes unattended, and the point goes over to the Knights.
Well, it looks like Fleischman went one way, thought that his route should be in front, and the setter thought his route should have been behind him.
Skousen serving for the Knights. They have a 3-point lead. A little tap kill shot there by the Liberty club team. And the Knights get the kill shot. That is Colby Wilson.
And I would have thought coming into this that we would see more back row attacks than we have so far. Maybe that's something that Coach Peterson's waiting to put in for the regular season coming up. Doesn't want to show his hand too early.
You mentioned he really wants to expand this roster down the road.
Yeah, he wants to get it to where they can have at least 2 full teams playing it all the time during practice and have several subs coming in. I would think anywhere 15 to 18 players would be something that he's looking to bring in.
Service by Skousen. Liberty setting up on the other side, and a kill shot unattempted, attempt by Colby Wilson to return and not able to do so. It's now 13-10, I believe.
And a huge jump there by the Liberty Flames, able to get way up into the air, play it off the top of the players. Looks like we have some procedural issues going on. If you're going out for the libero and coming in for libero, you have to go out and in behind the attack line. It's something that you'd think that some of these players would have remembered from high school, but there's some issues that go on with the adrenaline that's going right now. They just want to play and not worry about procedural things. Good
save there by Clark. And Clark will try the kill shot. Hits the ceiling. Here's Nigerian ramming it home. He got a perfect shot at the net to take down to make it 14-9. Boy, when that ball floats up like that, a 6'10" guy like Nigerian, it's almost no question that one's going down.
Well, you saw his eyes get huge and wanted to make sure he put that one straight down, and he did.
And that service, a little surprising there by Aina, hitting it too long.
Again, it's the toss that's throwing him off. And I'm sure they're still learning how to play with these fans because they want to toss the ball up at about 20 to 30 feet. That would put it at its apex right at the top of our arena.
Liberty serving now. Knights with a 4-point lead. Liberty gets the save. And that kill shot is good by Liberty, make it 14-11.
Again, the Knights need to press a little bit further across the net, angle their hands down, so they can't get the shot tooled off of them.
3-point lead for Southern Virginia here in set number 3. Ace by Liberty.
And miscommunication between the libero and the Paul Clark. You know, maybe some action going on that they don't practice a lot because we've seen Aina in the first 2 sets be the libero.
And that time Liberty is able to get a little gift shot at the net and spiked home by Liberty's Alex Lower, 6'3" sophomore, getting the spike to go to make it 14-13. So Liberty has pulled within 1 now.
Well, and overpasses for both teams are just gifts.
Aina setting up Nigerian, and he gets the point. And so the Knights get a little bit more of a cushion here at 15-13. And now Paul Clark serving for the Knights. Two-point lead for Southern Virginia. Clark with a great serve. Liberty gets it back across. Nope, hits the net and comes back to the Liberty side for a 3-point lead for Southern Virginia. Now it's 16-13.
You see Clark taking his time. He has 10 seconds back there to get the serve off. He wants to make sure that his toss is correct so he can get that top spin on it.
He'll try to give the Knights a 4-point lead here. Hits the roof. Liberty gets it back across, and point goes over to the Knights. Double hit, I believe. Timeout taken by Liberty. It's 17-13.
Got a little confused on how he wanted to attack that ball. But great serving right now by Paul Clark, especially taking his time, making sure that his toss is going up, because if that toss is off, that top spin doesn't get put on the ball as much as he wants, and it doesn't pull down into the court.
Well, I know obviously coaches love hard service aces that just stay in, don't go out of bounds on the back line. But again, as we've talked about the last few matches with you, Mike, coaches just hate service errors.
Well, coaches hate service errors, but with the men's team or play, we're going to see a lot more service errors because they go for the aces so much more. It's something that Coach Peterson has learned to live with. Again, I don't know how he does it. It would drive me crazy, but if you look at him and you see the service ace or the service errors happen, he just has a smile on his face.
Kind of similar maybe to what basketball people who love to shoot the long three-pointer.
Exactly. You just have to learn to live with it, and he's instilling a lot of confidence in his players.
Clark with a good serve, and the Knights get the easy gift point. Colby Wilson returning that Liberty shot back to the net, and he rams it home to make it 18-13. So Wilson right at the net gets a gift, and he takes advantage, and now Clark will continue to serve, trying to expand this 5-point lead.
Well, that's one thing that heavy topspin serve is going to generate, especially here with the low ceiling, is a lot of overpasses.
Another great service ace by Clark. Liberty not even able to return that one back across. It's 19-13. A little 5-0 run here by the Knights after Liberty had gotten the lead down to 14-13. Paul Clark, sophomore from Centerville, Ohio, serving again here. Another good serve, and Liberty cannot return that one. Long tried to get it after it hit the ceiling, but it's not able to get there in time. It's 20-13.
Well, you can see how the low ceiling is going to really play for the Knights in their upcoming season next spring. These hard topspin serves, men's volleyball wants to put the ball up 20, 30, 40 feet up in the air to take some of the steam off of it. If you do that here, we're going to have major problems.
Clark, another serve across. Liberty tries for the spike, and they get it to make it 20-14. So the ceiling, maybe for both the men's and women's team, actually is part of the active strategy.
Well, especially for the men's team, because we can see how hard they're using that topspin serve. And to take some pressure off the topspin serve, you have to be able to push the ball up in the air instead of out. Because we've seen what happens if they push it out. Oh, the overpasses come back really fast.
So David Hong serves here for Liberty. Aina setting up Wilson, and he gets his spike to go. Knights by 7 again, 21-14. Southern Virginia 4 points away from getting its third set and winning the match, even though we will have, no matter what happens in set number 3, a fourth set. And a service error by Tukumo Etu, and he's had a few of those where he's tried to tap it, it just hasn't had enough to get over the net.
And those are the service errors that's going to drive Coach Peterson nuts, because it's almost like a down ball. You're just playing it across. Those will drive him crazy.
Liberty gets it across on the service. Here is Wilson. Nope.
We'll have a double.
Double hit called on the Knights. 21-16. So the Knights had a 7-point lead. Now it's down to 5. And Scott Zaliznak is serving here for Liberty, and he has a service error.
You know, and watching the men's Olympic team this year, that was really the downfall for them when they got into the medal rounds, was their serving. Just too many service errors caused them to lose a chance to go to the gold medal match.
Fontano, the 6'7" freshman from Las Vegas, is serving here for the Knights. Liberty, will they get it across? They do, but it's too far. 23-16. Knights need 2 more points for the third set victory.
You saw Jensen go up, but he went up too far up underneath the ball and had to reach back for it. That's why he sailed it out of bounds by 20 or 30 feet.
Here's Fontano's serve. And that one's out. Point for Liberty, 23-17.
Well, and if you're the Knights, you have to think of defense as point generation. So right now when they receive serve, they're going to try to generate some points.
Liberty playing it safe with that serve. And a spike by Paul Clark. And now the Knights are a single point away from officially winning this match, even though, again, we will have a 4th set.
And those back row attacks, I'd like to see them really work on that for the rest of this non-traditional season and going into the season in the spring.
Wilson gets it across, and the Knights win the match. (25-17). Knights win it, Mike. And really their serving, I think, helped them win that 3rd set.
Well, they limited their service errors, especially Paul Clark. We saw him really taking his time, concentrating on the toss. And if you're watching and you're a young volleyball player, that is someone that you want to emulate. He didn't rush it. He made sure that his toss was perfect and really put the heavy topspin on it to pull the ball down into the court. The Liberty Flames weren't able to return it the way they normally do. If you go to Liberty, you go into their arena, huge ceiling, about 100 feet up in the air. To take some of the pressure off of and speed off of that huge jump serve, you want to pop the ball straight up. If you do that here, teams are going to have a lot of problems.
Knights got a lot of great serving in that match from earlier. Daniel Aina and Paul Clark earlier, Colby Wilson, Quinn Skousen. A lot of guys really effectively serving, whereas Liberty just had a ton of service errors in all 3 of those sets.
Yeah, and just some indecision really in their serving. A lot of jump serves, but a lot of float jump serves with a lot of power. Usually float jump serves, you want to take a lot of power off. You want to let the air currents play with the ball. If you put too much power on it, you're just going to sail it out of bounds.
So the Knights win again the match, winning set number 1, 25-23, taking set 2, 25-18, and winning that 3rd and deciding set, 25-17. And now we'll have a 4th set just for play purposes, for practice for both teams. And Knights obviously would love to win that too.
Yeah, you want to use this as a 2nd or 3rd practice that you get at this time, because you're playing against someone that you don't know. You get to practice the things that you've been working on the whole time in your non-traditional season. So it's a great way for them to get more repetitions in game situations.
So Coach Peterson in the first match for men's volleyball victorious, as the men in a clean sweep win all 3 sets against the Liberty Club team. And now Knights will play this 4th set, hoping to maybe make it 4 in a row.
And, you know, we talked about Coach Peterson with all his experience coming in, 30 years of volleyball, most of it on a Division I level, has a national championship from Penn State women's, has a national championship from BYU's men. You don't expect to see the Knights go down from this. He's going to really use this as a jumping off point, show them the film and say, guys, we won, but these are the little things that we can do better. And just a great technical coach. I'm sure we're going to see some great things coming from him and his program.
And I talked with him about that too. I mean, you mentioned the titles from 1994 and also from 2004. But this is a new experience, I think, for him, building a program basically from scratch.
Building it from scratch and also doing it without any athletic scholarships. A lot of people, especially someone that's really concerned or have done Division I for so long, they understand I get these many scholarships. I can go out and pick the players that I want.
Right.
Now he's going to be looking at players that may not have all the notoriety that the Division I players have, but with all his contacts, we're going to see him really bring in a lot of players that should be probably someplace else, but they're going to come to Southern Virginia. One, because he's here. Two, he's going to build a winner. And three, you're going to compete for national championships.
And he's going to use his other two players, I believe, in this game. Number 11, Alma Ray, a freshman from Ohio, from Salt Lake City, Utah. And also Paul Canlon, he is a freshman from Carlisle, Pennsylvania, 6'4". So those two last guys who really I don't think have seen any time in the first three sets get a chance here to play in the fourth set.
And it's going to be great for them to get some game experience. I'm sure we're going to see a few nerves to begin out this set, but Coach Peterson's going to really use this as a learning experience for those two players and everybody else.
Reminder, we will have women's volleyball coming up tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. Southern Virginia women's volleyball team taking on Frostburg. Knights 0-2 in the conference. I think Frostburg has yet to win in the conference, so a chance there, Mike, to have the women's volleyball team break through with a conference victory on Friday, and then on Saturday, Southern Virginia men's soccer team, Southern Virginia women's soccer team, winless in the conference, in the Capital Conference, will be on the road at Wesley. And Wesley has yet to win a conference game in either soccer, in men's soccer, or women's soccer. So a chance for volleyball Friday and both men's and women's soccer on Saturday to maybe break through with a conference victory.
Oh, we talked about the women's volleyball team playing a lot of great competition the last week with Mary Washington and CNU. Also, we've seen CNU come in on the men and women's soccer side. So they've had some experience against some great teams. Now we're going to see what happens if they can take some lessons learned from those upper level teams and put them into effect and maybe come out with some great wins. I can see them coming home, all the teams coming home with wins this weekend. And
maybe also a big football matchup, of course, too, on Saturday for the Knights football team playing on the road at Montclair State, Saturday at 1 o'clock. But we've seen really throughout the entire New Jersey Athletic Conference schedule that it's been very difficult to win on the road. And, the top five teams like Rowan, Salisbury, Wesley, CNU, just to name a few, they have yet to really have that signature road victory that might be the one win, in addition to home victories, that might eventually settle who's going to win the New Jersey Athletic Conference Championship.
Yeah, that's going to be the key, is which team can get that first road victory that's going to be a really key victory in order to propel them to the top of the conference.
Or which team is going to stumble at home first, I guess.
Exactly, and we can see that happening. New Jersey Athletic Conference for football is one of the tougher conferences. We got the Wisconsin conferences out there, and we know that they're really tough because of all the teams they have in the top 10.
Whitewater last week beat the number 8 team, Platteville, and this week they've got, the number 6 team, Oshkosh.
So they have a huge team, but just right below that we got the New Jersey Athletic Conference. So either you defend your home turf. If you stumble, that could knock you out of the conference championship.
How about the chances, though, for the Knights to maybe play spoiler, win on the road at Montclair on Saturday? I know a couple of years ago they had the first New Jersey Athletic Conference win against the College of New Jersey, but still looking to get maybe that signature win against maybe a team that is in the upper division of the New Jersey Athletic Conference, and certainly a big road win.
Well, with the style that the Knights are playing, that triple option, it can cause a lot of problems. The only thing that we talked about last week was they need to have some sort of passing game to go along with it, because too many people are stuffing the block, not only with 8 players, but we've seen up to 9, 10 players.
In this fourth set, again, the Knights have already won the match, winning the first 3 sets, 25-23, 25-18, and 25-17. And I guess you could call this fourth set somewhat anticlimactic here, Mike, and the Knights have a 4-3 lead.
Well, we saw a lot of people have left just because they thought, the Knights won, so the match is over. Earlier, before the match began, they determined that they're going to play at least 4 sets. So a lot of play going on. We see some new faces out there. Paul Canlon back serving for the Knights. So just great chance for them to get some game experience in.
Yeah, a great block there at the net by Colby Wilson to give the Knights a 5-3 lead here. Knights will try to set this one up. Aina will set it up on the left side, and that is Ray with the kill shot. The 6'3" freshman from Salt Lake City to give the Knights a 6-3 lead.
Well, and Ray, again, seeing how the Liberty Flames aren't pressing across on their block, all you got to do is put it down around their elbows, and it's going to go off them into the net.
Service error by the Knights, 6-4 now.
Well, big news coming from our athletic director. The Knights are going to be in the Continental Volleyball League starting not this season, the 17 season, but in 2018. Going to be able to compete for conference championships, and that conference has a automatic qualifier into the NCAA Division III tournament.
Good point going on here. Knights get it. Take a 7-4 lead. You look at the complete list. Stevenson, see Rutgers, Newark. We mentioned Marymount from Virginia. Eastern Mennonite. Julie Nott, I think. Karen, Thiel. Just to name a few.
We were told that not only are the Knights coming into the Continental Volleyball Conference, but there's 2 or 3 more teams that are coming in too. So you're looking at about anywhere between a 8 to a 11 team conference.
Haven't heard any discussion, much like football, I guess, that the Capital Conference is thinking about volleyball maybe.
Well, that would be a huge thing. Again, you have the equipment. Why not go ahead and use it? The women play in the fall, the men play in the spring. It should be something that is almost a no-brainer. I know the Capital Athletic Conference has contacted our athletic department a couple times about having the Southern Virginia have a women's field hockey team, so they can have some automatic qualifiers for that. So if we could get them to add men's volleyball and maybe us add some women's field hockey.
Now, really quick,
some give or take.
For those not familiar, what sport would field hockey maybe be closest to? For those who've never seen a field hockey game.
That is a good question.
Not lacrosse, right?
No.
Is it a cross between lacrosse and soccer?
Well, it's hockey on artificial turf.
Okay.
Without all the pads and without all the bumping and all that goes on. There's
men and women.
Men and women. Yeah. But I know they're very interested in the Capital Athletic Conference is very interested in having more women's field hockey teams.
Knights with a 9-5 lead here, and Ray with a double hit.
Yeah, we're going to have a lift there, prolonged contact. Ray brought it down to his chest and then brought it back up. Just way too long in the hands.
So it's a 3-point lead here in set number 4 for the Knights, 9-6. And they won the opening 3 sets, 25-23, 25-18, and 25-17 to win the match. This 4th set, just to really give both teams a little practice. And the Knights will get that point. Paul Clark really having a great match here against the Liberty Club team.
Well, he's doing a great job not only seeing the ball coming in, but also seeing the block. And if he sees the block with their shoulders, turns toward the sidelines, he's just going ahead and playing it off of them out of bounds for the kill.
Soft serve there by Ray, and blocked by the Knights. They get the point. And now expand that lead a little bit here in set number 4. Ray, freshman from Salt Lake City, serving. Nice soft serve. And Hong is trying to make the kill shot. He's not very tall, Mike, and really couldn't get up there for the spike.
Well, you see the really short serve there by Ray. Sometimes when you take a lot of speed off of it and the opposing team is used to all that speed, you can cause a lot of problems in the offensive flow.
Hong is 5'10". He'll try it again. The little tap shot this time, and that works. No one there at home. No one home for the Knights to even attempt to touch that one.
Daniel was caught very far back in the right back part of the court.
12-7. Knights by 5 here in the 4th set. And at the net, the Knights go up and block it and get the point. A couple of Knights there were actually in a position to make a play on the ball.
Yeah, but great job by Quinn Scalzo being able to go up there. You can see how strong he is across his shoulders, able to not only go up for the joust and win it, but push it down for the point.
He's 6'2". It's all freshmen and sophomores on this current roster, and a service error by the Knights by Scalzo.
Well, the retention is going to be a huge thing for Coach Peterson. If he can keep these guys, plus bring in some new recruits, next season they're going to be so much better. When the sophomores and freshmen are seniors and juniors, oh my goodness, watch out.
So what would you say really the needs, I guess, maybe across the board for the Knights?
Well, I'm sure he's going to be looking to bring in more outside hitters, middle blockers, right side hitters, probably one or two more setters, because you can always take a setter and turn them into a defensive specialist or libero.
Knights got that point, 14-8 here in set number 4. Reminder about women's volleyball coming up tomorrow night at 6 o'clock. As the women's volleyball team gets set to take on Frostburg on Friday.
And a huge chance for them to get a win on their home floor after playing 2 nationally ranked teams here last week.
And playing them very tough. I know in Mary Washington, again, they lost that match 3-1. But in 2 of those sets could have easily gone the way of the Knights. And even in the 3-0 sweep by CNU, very close very close sets in all 3 of those sets that they lost to the captains.
Well, and sometimes coaches will look at playing against ranked teams, and if you play them close, you feel it's a moral victory. Coach Gwynn knows in her heart that they should have beat Mary Washington, just had them on the ropes, allowed them to come back in 2 of the sets after taking the first set.
Another spike by Colby Wilson, the sophomore from Valencia, California, 6'4", great athlete he is. And he puts his team on top here in the 4th set, 15-9.
And a huge adjustment by Wilson, able to punch it across. If Aina could put it up just a little bit higher, maybe another foot or 2 higher, you could get a full swing on it, and we could see the ball not only go for the kill again, but go down right inside the attack line.
So Canlin now will serve. And Hong got his paws on it, and Liberty brings it back across. Now the Knights will set things up. For Clark, it is blocked by Liberty, and Liberty ends up getting the point.
And you saw Clark not able to broad jump into that one like he likes to do. The 3-meter line, should be able to broad jump across it and use a lot of athletic ability to really put a little extra emphasis on that hit.
Makes it 15-10 here in the 4th set. Well, you got to know the women's volleyball team itching to get that victory tomorrow against Frostburg after those close calls against Mary Washington and CNU. Aina setting it up for Ray, and he gets the point.
Great job of just trying to roll it over to the top and gets the point. Also, men and women's soccer going to Wesley. Should be able to see them perform really well, because playing against CNU is no easy task, and both teams learned some lessons from that, and I'm sure they made some adjustments during their practice today.
Yeah, the men losing to CNU yesterday 3-0, and then of course the day before, strange game there against CNU for the women's soccer team. It was scoreless at halftime, scoreless about 7 minutes into the second half, and then the floodgates opened, and CNU ended up winning that game, Mike, 8-0.
Yeah, just like you said, a strange game. I wasn't able to watch it, so I don't know exactly what happened, but hopefully they have figured out how not to let those goals get scored like that, and going to be able to really take advantage of going and playing Wesley, who's also struggling at this moment.
And you wonder, basically how long it took for the men's soccer team and the women's soccer team to recover from those tough losses last weekend to Penn State Harrisburg. The Knights men's team led 1-0 at halftime, ended up losing 2-1. The women's team lost 3-1, but that was a very close game that could have easily gone the way of the Knights. Those were probably tough losses to Harrisburg to really shake off.
I'm sure they were, but in this conference, you can't dwell on those things. You can be upset and sad up until 12 o'clock that night, and then you have to start preparing for the next team.
Southern Virginia University men's volleyball here tonight, and they've already won the match. First ever match here for men's volleyball. Winning the first set 25-23, taking the second set 25-18, and then winning the match with the third set victory 25-17. And in this extra 4 set they've decided to play, the Knights are on top here 18-12 with Ray now serving for Southern Virginia.
And the first time he came up to serve, we saw some little float short serve. Let's see if he does it again.
Little soft serve there. And Liberty gets the point as the Knights were not able to make the return.
And sometimes when you misset the ball and you have a mishit, that throws your whole defensive timing off a whole lot more than being prepared for something to come at you very hard.
Well, Jason Lamb, the AD, and really the entire athletic program has to be excited that they were able to attract Coach Peterson to this position, Mike.
Well, again, all the experience that he has coming in, We talked about him winning at Penn State on the women's side for NCAA tournament. We talked about him at BYU winning the men's.
And also a coach
there.
at, I think, 7 or 8 different schools.
Yeah, he was at University of Utah, Utah State University, University of New Mexico, Utah Valley University, Weber State, and Salt Lake Community College. So a lot of experience. Plus, his dissertation for his doctorate degree was on the habits of the nationally ranked volleyball coaches. So he's got a lot of learning experience from them, and also being able to put together his own greatness. Someone should maybe do their dissertation on him.
Nice block there by Paul Canlin. Canlin with a good save, and the Knights could not get it back across as Colby Wilson just could not get it across the net to make it 20-14.
Now, I'm sure that's something that maybe Coach Peterson will work on there, just making sure that they can roll the ball over. After a great play to get the ball up, you have to make sure that you get the ball over the net.
Liberty serving. Knights trying to get a clean sweep here, and that time Wilson had to go off his fingertips back behind him for the point for Liberty.
Well, it's hard to overhand pass a serve that has a lot of velocity on it. The fingers have to be really strong.
5-point lead, now 20-15 for the Knights. Wilson setting up. Aina back to Wilson. At the net, and Wilson puts it away. Knights by 6, within 4 of winning all 4 sets in a match that they've already won.
Well, here's Paul Clark, and again, taking his time, making sure that he's mentally prepared, and he's going to make that toss just correct.
And he put it into the net, unfortunately, to make it 21-16.
And that was my fault. I'm sorry, Paul. I should know that anytime when an announcer talks about someone back at the service line, it always puts the hex on them.
Well, here's your chance to prove that with Hogg serving for Liberty now. And he puts his way out. 22-16. Don't think it's influenced the match at all, but Liberty's had its share of service errors tonight.
They really have.
Trying to go long, I guess.
Yeah, they really have. And it looks like they're trying to get that heavy topspin serve, just not getting enough downward rotation on the ball.
Canlin with a service error. So, like earlier in the evening, we've had 3 straight service errors, back and forth. 2 by the Knights, 1 by Liberty.
And sometimes you put a lot of pressure on yourself when you serve, trying to break that string of service errors.
A little soft serve that time. Aina will try to set up Wilson, and he puts it away. Colby Wilson.
Great slide.
23-17.
Really like to see the men come in and use a slide attack, a 1-foot attack behind the setter. Don't see it that much in men's volleyball, as they like the attack in layers, but huge slide attack.
And Wilson gets it up and over, and nice save by Wilson there to get it back across. Liberty tries to set up for a kill. Soft little kill shot, and they got it to go. That was put away by Liberty. That was Caleb Pitcher getting the ball back across for the point. 23-18 now.
You can see Daniel Aina going up for the block. Came down, just knew that ball just barely went over his hands. A little bit of exasperated look on his face.
Liberty's got another service error to put the Knights within a point now of wrapping up this 4th set. And a victorious night, first ever match here for men's volleyball at the Knight Sports Arena.
A great start for the Knights coming into this era of men's volleyball here at Southern Virginia.
And the Knights trying to put it away here at the 4th set. It is Clark, and his kill shot no good. Hit the net, came back, 24-19.
And if you're Coach Peterson, you're upset that you didn't get that point. But, again, you'd like to get a point off the attack, especially off the serve. Go ahead and finish it out right here.
And Liberty's service set up by the Knights. And put away by the Knights for the kill shot of the victory. Ray with the spike to make it 25-19 a final.
Great shot down the line. You don't see that a lot out of men or women's volleyball. Like to see that both teams use that. Just a huge night here. A lot of energy around men's volleyball. I think we'll see that coming into the spring season also.
So a match victory tonight for Southern Virginia men's volleyball in their first ever match here at Southern Virginia University. Men's volleyball victorious in 4 sets, even though they only needed 3 to win the match. 25-23, 25-18, 25-17, and they go on to win the 4th set as well. So a lot of success here in the opening night for Southern Virginia University men's volleyball.
Yeah, big success for them. Great job by Coach Peterson to get his troops prepared. Great job by the Knights to not let the moment overwhelm them. You know, every time you're part of the first, you always have a lot of nerves that jump up, but it's nice to see them be able to come out and take control.
And now, Mike, we start to look ahead. Less than 24 hours away. Women's volleyball tomorrow night, 6 o'clock, as the women will be taking on Frostburg, trying to get that first match win in the Capital Conference.
And they have a huge chance to do that with Frostburg State coming in. The Knights have played really stiff competition now. Now they get back down into an area where not only do they match up well, but they're at home, so they should be able to really take the momentum that they should be able to generate in the first set and carry that through and win the match.
So again, a successful night here tonight for men's volleyball at Southern Virginia University. They beat the Liberty Club team in their first ever match, and Tom Peterson, the victorious coach. A reminder that we'll have women's volleyball coming up tomorrow night, 6 o'clock. Southern Virginia women's volleyball up against Frostburg, so make sure you join us Friday night at 6 o'clock for women's volleyball here from the Knight Sports Arena. That's going to wrap things up for men's volleyball. For Mike and Josh and all of our production staff here at Southern Virginia University, thanks again for joining us tonight for men's volleyball, and make sure you join us on Friday for women's volleyball.